Hey everybody, Scoutcrafter here again. It's Wednesday, middle of the week. Hope everything's going good for you. We have a nice episode planned today. It's planned like they usually are. I don't know if it'll come through. One thing I want to talk about is, growing up in the city here, we had playgrounds, and I'm lucky enough to live in an area in northern Queens that was not so cluttered as much of the rest of the city is. So, but, we had playgrounds, normal New York City playgrounds. And, I was thinking as a kid, we had some really dangerous things in the playground here growing up in the city. We had these things, first of all, we had swings, the regular swings, but they weren't regular swings. These things were like 2x8s wrapped in steel. They were the most ominous things. I mean, if and of course, kids are going to, play with the swings. You get hit with one of those, you were down for the count. Okay, that's number one. Then we had the seesaws. Now you know how seesaws work. If you're not approximate weight of each other, somebody is going to be launched. The heavier guy is going to hit the deck hard, and the lighter person is going to be launched from the seesaw. We had many accidents happen there, but the worst one by far were the monkey bars. Do you remember? Did you have monkey bars when you were younger? Oh, these were treacherous. I don't know who designed these. Maybe Mengele. Somebody designed these that did not want the population to grow, and I'll tell you why. Because the way they were designed, these bars they were made so that there was a maze, you can go through it. And of course, because they were kind of tight, you had to look on the ground to make sure where you're going, and those bars were right about where your forehead is. So as you're looking down, watching, where you're stepping, sure enough, you would run into a bar, and there was always some kids crying around the monkey bars. Did you ever have those? And then, of course, there was the kid on top who, slipped, and, his head would be knocking from one end to the other on the way down. It was... I don't know who designed them, but only the tough survived the playgrounds when we were kids. And especially, you had the older kids and the younger kids together. So, the older kids would, if you weren't there with a parent and you were a younger kid, that's it. It was survival. It was the jungle. It was survival of the fittest. Yeah, New York City playgrounds, I'll tell you. Bad news. Okay, I want to talk about today. We're going to talk about a good friend of mine who sent a box of tools in. So let's talk about that. Next we have a good friend of the show from the UK, and he's a fellow Pole. He's Polish like me, and his name is Jakub Kaczmarczyk. And Jakub contacted me a little while ago, and we were discussing things over emails, and he wanted to send some tools, and I know it's a heavy build, to send from the UK all the way here, especially a heavy package like that. But I said, but he was sure he wanted to, and I'm so glad he did, because first of all, he sent some Polish tools, which we were both excited about, because you don't see too many of them around, and he also sent a few things that, one thing I have to get started on right away, and we'll get to it now. So let me show you what he sent. Okay, so here's the tools that Jakub sent over. First of all, he sent over a couple nice screwdrivers, and these are traditional, like English type. And you can see here by the coating on here, this was a lacquer, and you could see there, because lacquer was a very hard coating, so you could see that and how it chips off. This was dipped in lacquer, and that's why they didn't usually, because of the expansion of the wood, the lacquer had no expansive qualities, that it wasn't flexible at all, and it would usually crack off. So that's a nice screwdriver. We'll get to that. Here's a Polish-made screwdriver. You can see here it says made in Poland, and we don't see too many of these. This one here has the electrical sleeve on it, so that it's, I guess that, you can use this for an electrical, things like that. I'll look that up. He sent a couple beautiful hammers. Look at this this nice blacksmith example of a hammer. You can see they used to split the end and put it over the wood, and it's still solid, no movement at all. And it's just a beautiful design on that hammer. And here's another hammer, and you can see here, this one here has a name on it. It says W. Whitehouse, and it's made in England. You can see made in England on this side. And you know, it looks like a kind of like a masonry type hammer or something. It's just really nice. Little wobble to it, but that's okay. We'll fix that up. Beautiful. These are very hard to come by in the States. Is made in England Stanley 199. And because you don't see the made in England ones, and they always had the large lanyard hole. I always like these, so this is a beautiful find. And this hammer here, this is a if it has some kind of lettering on here or something, you know, I don't know if that's going to show up on the camera, because I definitely cannot read it with my eyes, but there's something on there. We'll have to look in the magnifying glass. Nice little hammer, an axe head, which is more or less like a kind of a hatchet, a broad hatchet. And you can see here, it says something I can read. It says the maybe Gemini, something, #1. I don't know what the whole the word is. This is probably an English axe, so maybe if you know what that is. And then they sent this beautiful, you know, I'll tell you, Sheffield, you know, they always made some nice stuff, but this here is, you can see here, it says Chesterman from Sheffield, England. And look, this is like a leather stitch case. And look how nice this is. It has a brass rewind lever here. This is just really nice. And you can see it's a cloth tape. And, you know, it's in the 1 foot, you know, which I don't know if they use that anymore. It would be antiquity over there in England, because, you know, now you went over to metric. But look how nice that is. This will clean up really nice. So, but let me show you what both of us, both Jacob and I, went nuts over. Now, lastly, that brings us up to today's project. And I have to tell you something. From the minute I saw this, I was just out of my... I thought this is the coolest thing ever. And see what this is here? Again, made in Poland. How great is that? And what this is, it's a combination multi-tool. It's a hatchet, an axe with a hammer. It's got a some kind of pry bar chisel. And when you push this little detent in here, see that? Push that in, you could wiggle this out, and inside here is a saw. And so how you would use it is you would put this back on this way and then push the detent down, put it down until it locks in. It's a little bit stiff here. There we go. And it's a little stiff now because we got to work on it. But look at that here. Look at it. It's got this nice toothed edge. This is you know, a regular push stroke saw that you would use. And I guess you could use this and keep it in the car or something for any kind of clearing. If you came across a tree that came down, this would get you some light branches off. Or from, I think it's just fabulous. And you know, here it's got over here, looks like a bottle. This is a nail puller, bottle opener. Could be a can opener possibly. I have to see if that would work on a can, but definitely a bottle opener. A lot of tools. Let's throw this in the vinegar because it does have some rusting issues. So we're going to throw it in the vinegar and see how this comes out in a couple days. Okay, it's been actually a day that I let this soak in the vinegar, and I was using the wire brush, the hand wire brush, and getting all the rust in it. And look at this, how nice this came out. And it looks almost like it quite possibly might be a piece of galvanized, but not the way it rusted. But you can see here, we have the pipe is in really good shape, the handle. And then here we have, obviously the blade is in nice shape. I don't believe this was ever used. Look at that, the edge on this axe is just beautiful, and you can see it was painted. Now it was painted like a beige from here. It's just the edge was left unpainted, and this was all painted like a beige, like I said. But we're going to take all this paint off. We're going to hit it with some paint remover and see what we can do, what we can get out of this. Then we'll take it to the wire brush. Okay, here we are at our post wire brush evaluation, and also you know, we got rid of all the paint that was on here. We did some refitting because when the rust was gone, you know, it loosened up a little bit, so it was a little rattly, but I was able to refit it. See, this has to be at exactly the right dimensions, but you can see here what it looks like. This all came out nice. Obviously, the blade is super sharp. This came out nice too. The mechanism all works fine. Now, I have to decide what I want to do here. As far as paint goes, you see this actually was a forged piece or something, hardened forged. You can see the scaling. That's not a piece of stamped steel. that, you know, like I originally thought it was. That's actually a piece of forged steel. Same with this thing. This is a piece of heavy-duty forged metal here. Got the chisel tip, same thing. You can see the forge, you know, the scaling. And so now I just got to decide what we're going to do about the colors. And I'll go have dinner and think about it. Now you know my favorite part. Remember what this hatchet looked like before we started. And we are calling this project done. Jacob, I think this is exactly the way you pictured this coming out, because I know I did when I saw it. This is probably the way this this tool would have been marketed here in the States or something, you know. They tried to dress it up a little bit. Let me show you what we did here. First of all, here's the name here. And this is the only part. Let me see if I can get a light over here, get a better... This is the only part here I couldn't remove all the pitting because you would remove the name. But can you see that name? It looks like Polka maybe or something, and Tarnow, or I don't know, but maybe somebody over there. But that's the only, and that annoys me, those pits. But there's nothing you could do unless you're going to get rid of that name. Everything else, we got rid of the, you know, all the pits here, you see? So on top, bottom, did it over here, and then of course we baked on the bottom red part, polished up the cap on the bottom, and look how nice this operates now. You put your thumb here, and look at this. Just slides right off, nice and easy. Cleaned the inside of there, oiled it, saw blade is all done, and you can see, like I said, how easily this works now. Watch this, listen. See that? It just clips on nice. This is a nice tool. I love this thing. And I'm sure that this thing will work as intended. Maybe we could give it a try. Okay, let's give this saw a quick try now. We're going to pull this out. Like I said, you push the detent button like this. Comes right out. Flip it around. Turn it in and place it into the other side. Press the detent down and it's in. Now, this is a push cut saw. So you have to establish a kerf line first. Pull it back. And then gently and using quick, nice, easy strokes, go through it. Okay, and you can see that there is a... This is hardwood. This is really meant for more of a green wood, but went through that quite easy. So in closing, is the Thule gimmick tool? Most definitely, but I'm a sucker for gimmick tools. I love that kind of stuff. That's something that would have been in my dad's trunk. I don't know how or where he got it, but it would have been in there. And a special thanks to Jacob for sending the tools. We'll be getting to the other ones shortly. Thanks very much for tuning in. I hope you have a nice day. Take care now. Bye-bye. Okay, let me get this straight. So you're telling me the only time I should wear a mask is if I am sick and it protects other people from getting sick. However, if other people are sick, a mask won't protect me. That's what you're telling me? Okay.